We begin today at the White House, where a high-stakes phone call between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. A White House advisor says that has been ongoing for over 90 minutes now. On the line, land and specific assets like power plants. Let's take a closer look at the current state of the war right now. Everything in orange is the current Russian-controlled territory in Ukraine. Also on the line, a 30-day truce that could put an end to scenes like this. We have team coverage here to break it all down for us. In just a moment, Professor of International Affairs at the New School, Nina Khrushcheva. But first, let's go to CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro, who is live for us outside the White House in Washington. Aaron, give us the latest on what we know about this phone call that's still going on.
Liz, good to be with you. The time to note is 11:32 Eastern. That's the last update we got from senior White House advisor Dan Scavino, who said that the call that started around 10 a.m. Out here in the East Coast is still ongoing. And just to remind people on what the sides kind of want, the U.S. wants to end this war. President Trump had talked about a lot on the campaign trail, ending the war on, quote, day one. He has sent officials to negotiate with both sides. They have Ukraine agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire. But the ball is in the court of Russia. And the Kremlin has indicated, along with President Putin, of course, that there are still a lot of concessions to work out, that they agree to end the war in principle, but there are conversations that Trump previewed when it comes to control of a power plant that Russia has in Ukraine, that's the largest in Europe, and when it comes to, quote, the division of assets, referring to land there. Trump has indicated that Putin will have to give up some land, while White House officials have said that it is not realistic for all Russian troops, the whole Russian presence in Ukraine, to be pushed out. That's what Ukraine wants. So finding a medium seems to be the White House goal at this moment.
So it's worth noting, though, Aaron, that the person not on the call today is Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. So at what point does the Trump administration bring in President Zelensky to the table?
We'll see what happens from this call between Trump and Putin, if there's an agreement that they need to go back to the Ukrainian officials on. Ukraine had agreed to that 30-day ceasefire, and President Zelensky has criticized Putin, saying that him not agreeing is a delay tactic. In addition, just when you look at past couple weeks and that dust-up between Zelensky and Trump, it's really notable that any sort of agreement was able to happen at all, just given the tenor of that conversation. But as of right now, it really seems that America believes that the ball is still in Russia's court.
All right, we're going to have to wait and see. Aaron Navarro live for us from the White House. Thank you so much for that update. All right, let's bring in Nina Khrushcheva, who is a professor of international affairs at the New School. Nina, thank you for being with us. I want to get your reaction to this phone call between Trump and Putin right now. Obviously, we don't know what's happening in this conversation, but can you walk us through your opinion on what's happened over the past couple of weeks here?
Well, my opinion of the phone call, that it's happening right now, it's actually over 2 hours. So it seems to be they have a lot to talk about, which we've expected. It's a positive development. In fact, it was absolutely clear right from the beginning when Ukrainian delegation agreed to have a ceasefire that Vladimir Putin is not going to agree to a ceasefire until he talks to President Trump. So that was a given that they would be talking. I'm not sure. I mean, your correspondent mentioned the power plant that they are discussing. I think Trump said that they would be discussing that. For Putin, and he laid it out very, very clear for him, for the ceasefire is two very important points. First is that Ukraine should not be getting military assistance during the 30 days. And then how one is going to observe the ceasefire. Obviously, there have been suggestions that it should be NATO or other countries' troops on the ground to observe that, but also, of course, much easier, and probably they would come up with this agreement, is that the drones, which have been used in this war all the time, the drones or some other technology can be actually part of this. And of course, there's a Kursk region that Ukraine incursed into, occupied in August 6th, and it seemed to be a lot of it went back to the Russians. And Putin is concerned how he's going to somehow forgive all the Ukrainian troops that were there. So, and Trump has been acting as a great savior of lives, and he's going to convince Putin. I think that will also present itself as victory, convince Putin to let these people go. So there's a lot. There is a lot there in the conversation. But my impression that Putin would go much further, and that's where the power plant comes in, a division of the territory for the future, because Putin is going to press not only in the ceasefire. To that, he somewhat agreed. But what comes next? And that would be very influential on whether he finally says the ceasefire will take place.
So what do you make of Donald Trump's position here in this conflict between Ukraine and Russia? What has he brought to the table?
Well, Trump said that he's going to remember. I mean, obviously, you remember, everybody remembers. He was going to finish this conflict in 24 hours. Then, well, maybe 6 months. Oh, it is complicated. We may or may not be finishing this conflict. But obviously, he sees it as a Joe Biden war. And he said it numerous times that this would never have happened under his watch. And he puts it on Truth Social, Trump in capital letters, like in a Trump Tower. That only Trump can finish this war. And so I think that's what he brings to the table. He wants it to be over, so he's going to be seen as somebody who brings peace to the world. And obviously, he really wants a Nobel Peace Prize, because Barack Obama, his first nemesis before Joe Biden, got the Peace Prize. So Trump, obviously, he likes accolades and he wants that. So to the table, he brought the fact that he wants this conflict finished. And I do think that because Ukraine is not in very strong position right now, he's probably going to look more how to please Russia in this rather than Ukraine.
Yeah, but what about the tactics? I'm thinking specifically of that Oval Office meeting between Trump and Vladimir Zelensky.
Well, Trump is an arm twister. I mean, that's what he does. He's a hurricane. As he said in his inaugural speech, it's going to be a revolution of common sense. So far, I'm not sure about common sense, but certainly see a lot of revolutionary tactics as sort of you storm the White House and do a reality TV show from there. So yes, I mean, he was very intimidating to Vladimir Zelensky. I also think that Vladimir Zelensky, unfortunately, did not read the room well enough. And I also thought that he didn't have good advisors to suggest, or maybe he did listen to them, to suggest that the time have changed. Trump doesn't want to see him as a hero who defends his country. Trump sees him as a person who always wants help, and Trump is not willing to give it because he doesn't think that America should be involved in this war. And I think there was the sort of the clashes of these two characters, because Zelensky still thought that he would be that hero that he was for the previous 3 years. And Trump doesn't see him as a hero, and himself sees as, kind of a great corporation guy who gives and takes anytime he pleases. So it was a great bullying on the part of Trump, but also somewhat of a misreading of a situation on the part of Vladimir Zelensky, who, for whatever reason, also decided he's going to speak English, which I thought that, according to diplomatic protocol, was completely shocking. I mean, it was fine when Zelensky needed to convince the world and show his personality, but showing his personality really was not something that Trump was looking forward to.
Nina Khrushcheva, thank you so much for that insight.
Thank you.